This week I finally did it. Finally started producing the ice bath content, which I've been avoiding for ages. In some of these situations, I'm avoiding it fairly, I have to say. I have been ill since the end of November in one form or another, and I only just this week feel like I'm fully rid of any illness that I've had. Thank God for that. And it's the first point at which I still had a tiny little bit of a cough, but it's the first point at which I felt like I was able to go into the ice bath. Now, whether that was, a subconscious thing for me to get out of doing it, or whether I was just genuinely ill, I don't know. But part of the thing with me being ill is I think I have been going through this big, transformational period of my life. And I think my body was just reacting to that in some way or another. I can't quite explain the science behind that, but definitely, an increase in stress and a kind of trying to re-find out who I am and dealing with the different emotions that come up with that. Had some, personal things that came up through making the decision to do this full time. Through making the decision to do this full time, which meant financial sacrifices for me, also meant that there were financial obligations that I've got that I had to reduce down based on how much money I'm earning at the moment. And it brought up some things. It forced me to face some things that I should have faced a long time ago, I think. Some of which I thought I had resolved, some of which I knew were unresolved, but was trying to just separate myself from, really. So everything that's happened, the kind of culmination of all these different things, I think resulted in me being more vulnerable, having an immune system that wasn't fully up to scratch, and also having a child that is at nursery and is picking up a lot of germs and stuff, as well as me not, being out of the house very much. I basically just think I was in a weakened state mentally and physically. And although I was, eating okay, I probably wasn't as clean eating as I wanted to be, and I definitely wasn't moving and exercising as much as I wanted to be. Basically what I'm saying is I think there are a culmination of things, both explainable and unexplainable from me, from a scientific point of view, that led to me being ill since the end of November. Here's one thing it forced me to do. I was so ill in November that I couldn't vape. I'd been on and off with vaping. There had been moments when I stopped and then I start again, and et cetera, and I knew it was having a really bad effect on me in terms of my breathing. So I was starting to feel it at night, and it was something that I kept trying to get rid of, and it kept coming back. And I was so ill in November, I physically couldn't get out of bed really for 3 or 4 days, but I couldn't vape. So that first illness forced me into a position where I had to give that up. And for those of you who haven't vaped or smoked, the first kind of week is horrific. It's very, very difficult. You're very tetchy, very angry, very reactive, very stressed. All of the symptoms of withdrawal from something that you're addicted to. Nicotine is a difficult one. I've heard a few rock stars. I'm sure Ozzy Osbourne said the hardest thing he ever gave up was cigarettes. Nicotine is a bit of a demon, and it goes under the radar. So I haven't vaped since the end of November. Unfortunately, what usually happens when I quit vaping is I have a couple of days of coughing my guts out, and then I really feel the benefits, and I go, oh, I can breathe again. But I've been ill for so long that I hadn't really felt the benefits until now. So that was dealt with, and then I haven't done that since, and I don't plan to go back to it. It's a stupid thing to do, And as delicious and fruity and invigorating as it is, I don't want to be in a space where I'm dependent on anything anymore. After that, I had to, sort my food out, just tighten up a little bit. I eat pretty well, very fresh food. My portion sizes sometimes slip, but I just felt like I was gaining a little bit of weight. Not loads, I'd managed to maintain a decent weight, but I was just slipping a little bit. And I know for me personally, sliding a little bit can snowball into this, this huge effect where suddenly I'm 16, 17 stone again. And then the exercise was the next thing after that. I talked about this year being mental and physical health being as good as they can be. To try and put myself in a position where, as a vessel, as a body, and as a mind, I was in the best possible position to take on opportunities when they arose. I didn't want to be in a position where a big opportunity came up and I wasn't mentally prepared to deal with that, and I wasn't physically prepared to deal with that. And like I said, I promised that I would try all these different things out. And I'll share more. I need to share more about this exercise routine I'm on. I'm using this 10-week program from this girl that I found on YouTube, and she is arrogantly fit. She is objectionably in shape. She's just like a lean, mean fighting machine. She's great. I can't remember her name, but I'll link down below. I found one like dumbbell workout, which is what I've got at home. I've had these dumbbells for years, and I thought, I need a dumbbell workout, so I found a full body dumbbell workout, and then she had a 10-week program that you could go through. So I'm going through that at the moment. We're in the second week of that. It's 5 days a week. Today is a rest day. So I started moving and being more physical again, lifting weights. I'm not saying you have to lift weights, you can just go on walks, you can do whatever, but movement every day I think is important. And for me, lifting weights, there's lots of benefits to that, both in terms of building strength, losing weight, and things like, joint strength and like bone density and all those things. I think it's important to lift and move things. If you look at, I don't know if there's a documentary about it. I think there's a documentary about blue zones, but there's definitely a book about it. And it talks about all these areas of the world, they call them blue zones, where they have a really high proportion of centenarians, people who live over 100 years old. And they're trying to kind of scientifically look at what are all the different aspects that cause these areas to be like this. One of them is physical movement, like natural physical movement every day. A lot of these people are active every day in natural and in natural ways. They're gardening, they're having to climb stairs to get to their house, they're up in the hills, and there's these 100-year-old plus people who are still really physical, really fit and healthy. So we've got physical exercise, we've got consumption in terms of food, and we've got consumption in terms of other things like vaping and stuff. So we're kind of in line with that. The mental stuff, largely I've been trying to focus on meditation. Now, I'm still kind of up and down with it. I still miss days. It's still not routine as possible. And I sometimes find myself finding reasons not to do it, which is a sign that I really should be doing it. But meditation is super helpful for me. Most nights now when meditating, I'm kind of lost my routine a bit with doing the 10-minute meditation in the morning, but ideally I want to get back to a place where I'm doing 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. And then finally I'm doing this piece of content where I'm doing an ice bath every morning. And a big part of it is getting comfortable with discomfort. I won't go into it too much because I want to share that as a standalone piece of content, but it is uncomfortable to get up in the morning and get into a bath of very cold water. I had been, since I'd started exercising again, I'd been doing some at the end of my shower, putting the cold water on and doing that. But actually submerging your body into a cold plunge seems like a different thing. Seems like a more extreme thing. But it really made me question, you know, some days I'm like, why am I doing this? And I think dealing with discomfort and how you react to discomfort is a really important part of it. And it's definitely, I think, having an impact on my mental health. I think it's really hard to quantify with the ice baths. One, because I'm only like 3 or 4 days into it, and two, because I'm into doing lots of other things as well. There's lots of other variables that are going on at the moment too. But those are the things that I'm doing at the moment in terms of balancing my overall well-being, monitoring food intake, making sure that's kind of whole and healthy food 90-ish% of the time. And you know, having days where, yeah, some days where I'm still eating some processed stuff, or I'm eating stuff that, you know, like I have a burger and fries on a Friday. I still make it at home, but it's, you know, ultra processed stuff. But the rest of the time, pretty much it's whole foods. And I love it, you know, I get to cook interesting food and it's nice. I made a bolognese the other day with lentils and tofu as a base, and it was just really good. It's just really nice food. So consumption, looking after my mental health through meditation, physical health through exercise and movement each day. And then, you know, there's things like productivity and that I'm up and down with. I'm trying to get something out every day on every channel, basically. And sometimes that is easy to motivate myself to do, and sometimes it's not easy to motivate myself to do. And you know, I can see that I'm procrastinating in some areas and not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But we're kind of midway through February, so a month and a half. And I suppose if I compare myself to December last year, the physical, mental kind of maintenance stuff is all much better than it was a month ago, which is great. And the productivity is decent, I think. We're getting stuff out consistently, I think. Could be better. And then there's the commercial, financial aspects of it, which we're still not quite there on yet. I have been paid to do some stuff, which is great. You know, a decent amount to do some work. But I still got a bit of a way to go this month to be able to pay my bills. I talked in the last video about doing some commercial work. I've managed to get some support in for that, so I'm gonna be reaching out to some friends of mine. We're gonna be making a kind of promo video for a restaurant, which will be a nice challenge for me. So it's the commercial, financial bit, but it's the next bit on the line. But I'll focus in on that last for a reason. One, I always said to myself, I didn't want to. If I was doing something creative and artistic, I didn't want money to be the driver. That was the key thing. And I always said to myself that if I put out good work and do good work, the money will come with time. And I do believe that. But I've left that till last because I've managed money well in the past. I've managed money really poorly in the past. In my early 20s, I remember I was living in a flat that I couldn't afford. I'd broken up with my first wife. I was living in a flat that I couldn't afford. I'd lost my job. And I remember one day, I think it was just before Christmas, I had buried my head in the sand. So I had probably 50, 60 unopened letters. And I managed to build up the courage one day to start opening these letters. And one after the other, it was like, sent to collection, sent to collection, sent to debt collection agency, sent to debt collection agency. And I just broke down. I was in a bad space at that time anyway, for lots of reasons. I just broke down at what a poor position I put myself in. I had no idea how to manage money. I had no idea how to manage finances. I had no idea how to manage bills. I had chosen this flat because it was close to where my kids were, and I couldn't really afford it. I had lost my job through no fault of my own, and I felt like I had no help from anyone. I was just on my own, and it culminated in me opening all these letters, you know. And when I met my now wife, I was earning good money then, decent money, but I still hadn't learned to manage money, so I was always in my overdraft. And she really taught me under her wing, and really taught me how to budget and manage money. And ever since then, I've never been in a position where I've been in debt again. And I've been really managed my money well, managed my savings. And then obviously I've got to this point where it's like I've put myself in a position where I've jumped into something where income is very low / non-existent. And I've left financial elements to last because I wanted to make sure I was physically and mentally in a good position. So when the finances started coming through, that I was not in a depressed or panicky or reactive state in terms of when that money came in, how it was spent, and how I looked after it. So the commercial aspect is coming. I've rambled on for a long time right now, but for me, this has been a bit of a retrospective on the first kind of month and a half to go, because sometimes it feels like you're not making progress. Sometimes it feels like you're standing still. And actually, if I look back to where I was in December, I'm now physically active each day. I'm now consuming food more sensibly and more healthily. I'm pretty consistently practicing meditation for my mental health. And I've started plunging myself into cold water once a day. And I'll let you know what impact that has. And I'm out in the beautiful woods again, drinking a lovely cup of tea, talking to you guys. I'm so fucking grateful for the life I have. It's just unbelievable. I'm thinking back to where I was, in my early mid-20s when I was surrounded by those letters and that feeling of opening each one up. And I think I was in a constant state of panic at that time. I was in a constant state of panic about my failed relationship, panic about not seeing my kids as much, panic about being a bad dad, being a bad brother, being a bad son. I was just in a constant state of panic about everything, about my finances, that I knew in the back of my mind that I had all of this stuff to pay, and I'd been avoiding it to the point where I didn't even use the front door of my flat. I used the patio door, so I never went in and out of the front door because I was afraid of bumping into like a debt collector or something. I never answered my phone, couldn't answer my phone because I was afraid of who might be calling or what I might have done wrong. If I look back to where I was then versus where I am now, fuck me, I'm so grateful to be where I am and to have what I have, to have such a wonderful wife, to have such a great relationship with my kids, and to just be in a position where I am driving towards my dream of being a more creative person every single day. There's sacrifices, but God, every single one of them is worth it. Alright, please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd love to have you as part of the community I'm trying to build here. These vlogs are very much a personal project for me. It's about me investigating who I am, what I'm about, what I'm getting right, what I'm getting wrong, and what I can learn from it. And I hope some of what I find helps some of you guys as well. But if not, I appreciate you watching anyway. I'll see you on the next one.